Hello everyone and welcome to another tutorial on my channel. In this tutorial we are going to be learning how to cut and sew this very beautiful and stylish long gown with Aso Oke and bell sleeve. I'm sure this is something that you would love to watch to the end, so make sure that you don't miss any part of this tutorial. So with no further ado, let's get into the video and start learning. For the making of this dress, I'm going to be combining this ankara fabric with Aso Oke. As you can see here, this ankara is 4 yards, and if you're on a bigger size, you are definitely going to be needing more than that for the dress. And I also have 2 pieces of Aso Oke here. They measured it for me in the market, so I just got 2 pieces. Then I have my tape rule, scissors, and also chalk to draw out my patterns on the ankara. So the first thing you want to do is to fold your fabric into 2 like this, and take the measurements of what you have on the fold to be sure that you have something that is wide enough to take the largest part of your body measurement, which is the hip, divided by 4 and extra 3 inches. And while you fold this ankara, make sure you fold it to the side that is the longest. I hope you understand that. So from the top now, I'm going to be measuring how long I want this dress to be in total. So my measurement is actually at 60 inches for my long gown, but then I just use the end of my tape rule for this dress because I want it to really touch the ground very well and be very long. So after marking that, I'm just going to cut out these parts of the fabric. Then I'll go ahead and fold another part, but this one is going to be a little bit bigger because the back of this dress is going to have zipper. So after folding it, I'll place the front on it and make sure that I have 2 inches allowance for zipper. And once I've done that and I place the first fabric, which will be the front, on the second one, which is the back, I'm going to cut it out like this. So after cutting it, I'm just trimming off the excesses at the edges to make sure that everything is sitting perfectly, and I also splitted the zippers part. Then after this, I'm going to go ahead and start my markings. And the first thing that I'm going to do is that from the beginning of this fabric like this, I will come down to my chest line, which mine is at 8 inches. So I'm going to be marking that 8 inches around, and I'll draw a straight line across it just like you see me doing it. Then I'm also going to mark my bust point. Mine is at 10 inches, so I'll place my tape at 10 inches from the beginning of the fabric, and I'll mark it and draw a straight line across. Then I'm going to go ahead and mark my waistline. Mine is at 17 inches, so I'll mark it and also draw a straight line across it. Then the last point that I'm going to be taking is where my hip is, so I'm going to be calling that the hip line. Then I'll go down to 24 inches, which is like the largest area of my hip if I measure from my shoulder, and I'm going to mark it and also draw a straight line across. So I'll go ahead and just label my lines. So that's the waist, and the last one is the hip line. So the next thing that I'm going to do now is that on the top of the fabric here, I'm going to be taking my shoulder measurement divided by 2, and I'm going to place that and mark it. Mine is 16 inches. That divided by 2 will give me 8 inches. Then I'll place that 8 inches also on the chest line and connect the lines together with a straight line. So I'm going to mark the width of my neck, which is 3 inches. I'm going to mark that, and I'm going to be cutting the back neckline first. So I'm going to be using 1.5 inch for the back neckline, and I'm just going to connect that with my free hand to form a neckline shape. Then on this line, I'll come down by 1 inch and connect it with a slant to meet the neckline to form the shoulder slope. Then on this chest line, I will divide my bust circumference by 4 and place the measurements there. Then from that straight line, I will create an armhole curve to meet where I just marked now. So we have the armhole curve ready, and I'm just going to cut the back neckline first like this. So now to get the front neckline, I'll go ahead and place that small piece back and measure like 7 inches down, or you can make yours 8 inches depending on how deep you want the neckline to be. Then I'll mark that, and I'll come out by 2 inches from that point that I mark. Then from the neck width, I'm going to connect it down to meet that 2 inches. So also on the front, I'm now going to mark that 2 inches from the middle, just like the way I marked it now. I'm going to mark it all the way down. That's 2 inches. So I'm going to be cutting this out to be able to replace that part we are going to be using the Aso Oke for. So I'm just connecting those 2 inches together at the front. Then I'm going to go ahead and open it up. Make sure you open it up before you cut this out. I'm going to cut that 2 inches off all the way down. So after doing this, I'll now go ahead and take my round measurement. Though you could even take this round measurement before you go ahead and cut out that 2 inches, because now I have to replace the 2 inches while taking the round measurement. So I placed my bust circumference divided by 4 on the chest line, and I also added 1.5 inch for sewing allowance. Then I'll move to the waistline, and I'm also going to take note of that 2 inches that I've taken off. Then mark my waist measurement divided by 4. Mine is 8 inches. Then I'm going to replace 1.5 inch for sewing allowance. Then I'm going to connect those 2 points together from the chest line down to the waist. So next, I'm going to also place my round hip measurements, still taking note of that 2 inches that I've already taken off from the middle. So my hip measurement is 40 inches. That divided by 4 is 10. Then I'm going to replace 1.5 inch for sewing allowance, and I'll also curve that at the side to form that hip curve. Then I'll go down to the end of the dress, and I'm going to measure whatever I have on the hip line like this, the total, and I'm going to just deduct 2 inches from it to form the edge of the dress, like the hem area. So I'm just going to use my cuff like this to form that hip shape. Then I'll use a straight line to meet the edge. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut this out all the way now. So this is what I have. Then I'll go ahead to work on the sleeve. So for the remaining fabric that I have for the sleeve, I will have to be joining it at the middle part, because the side that is wider is not that long. I hope you understand that. So I'm just taking a straight line from the top of the fabric like this. Then I'll measure the full length of the sleeve that I want, minus about 3 inches, because I'm going to be adding like 3 inches Aso Oke at the end of the day. So from that first point, I'll come down by 4 inches. Then from the middle here, I'm just going to create like a curve for the armhole, and I will use my tape to make sure that it is going to be wide enough to accommodate the armhole. So I have like 9 inches in total, and I'm just going to connect from that point to the end of the sleeve like this, like to make it a bell sleeve. I hope you get that. And I'm just cutting this out. So I have 4 pieces of this that I'm going to be joining at the middle before joining it to the dress. Now let's work on the dress and start joining it together. So I'm opening up the back like this. I'll place it beside each other. Then I'm going to place the front on it, right sides facing each other, and match it up at the shoulder. So I'm doing it for the both sides at the same time. So I'll match it up, right sides facing each other at the shoulder like this. Then I'll go ahead and sew this shoulder with 1/2 inch on my sewing machine. So once I'm done doing that, this is what I have. And the next thing now is to take the measurement I have around the neckline from the back to the front on both sides. So I'll measure from the back down to the front, down all the way down to the end of the dress. So I have 67 inches here, and I'll definitely have 67 inches on the other part, so since they are equal. So on the Aso Oke, I'm going to be measuring 67 inches. I'll measure that 67 inches, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut it out. So when I cut it out, I'll bring that piece that is 67 inches, then fold it into 2 like this, and cut it from the middle. So I figured out that this white part is the mid part of this Aso Oke, so I'm just cutting it out all the way like this. Once I'm done, I have the 2 parts separately. Then I'm going to join each sides to the dress. So the side I'm going to be joining now to the neckline is that side that I just cut out now, while the other side will stay at the middle. I hope you understand. So I'm just placing it right sides facing each other like this, like placing it on the right sides of the neckline, and I'm using my pins to secure this down all the way to the end. So use the edge that you just cut now to do this particular joining, because the other edge that we did not cut is plain like how they made it in the factory, and it's going to be helpful when we are joining it together with the second part at the end of the day. So I'll head to the sewing machine now and join this together. And I also did the same thing for the other parts. So can you see how nice this is already? The next thing is to fix my zipper. So I'm going to be working on the back and just fix the zipper just like the normal way we fix zipper on our dress. And I'm also going to leave a slit at the down part. So this was it when I fixed the zipper. And I also made sure that I left some amount of slit at the back to allow for free walking. Then the next thing now would be to join this front part. So to join it is actually very easy. You just have to measure from the neckline the amount of opening you want to have. So for me, I'm going to be using about 7 or 8 inches, just like what I had when I was measuring the neckline earlier. So I will measure from that place now and mark that 7 inches. Then I will head ahead to the sewing machine to join this by placing them on top of each other. So let me just show you what I mean. So from that point where I marked, I'm going to be placing one of the Aso Oke on another slightly, just by like half an inch. Then I'm going to sew it all the way, and I'm going to sew it very closely to the tip of that one that is at the top. So you can see I'm sewing it very closely to the tip of that black part of the Aso Oke. So after joining it, this is how it looks like. Can you see how nice and flat it's looking? So the next thing now is to join the dress at the sides. So just go ahead and use your round body measurements to join this dress at the side like this. And then after joining it and turning it to the right side, this is what I have. The next thing now is to join the sleeve. So you can see the slits. I also went ahead to iron it down and use Emi gum to just secure it down to make it nice. Then this is the sleeve. So I've already joined it together at the middle like I said I was going to do. And the next thing I will do now is just to measure how wide the edge of the sleeve is. For me, I have 24 inches here, so it's going to be 24 inches on both sides because they are both the same. And then I'll go ahead and grab my Aso Oke again, and I'll measure out that 24 inches in 2 places, because I actually want the part of the sleeve to be that colorful part of the Aso Oke. So I'm just going to measure that out in 2 places. Then I'm going to be separating the black parts. I'm separating it at the middle part, just like I did when I wanted to join the one for the main dress. So after separating it like this, I'm now going to cut that colorful part into 2, because I'm going to be using that part alone for the sleeve area. So depending on how you want it, depending on the colors that it comes in. So I'll go ahead now and place this on the right side of the edge of the sleeve, and go ahead to the sewing machine and use half an inch to stitch it together. And I'm also going to do the same thing on the other sleeve. So when I was done doing it, this is what it looks like. Then I'll go ahead and grab my dress again to measure what I have around the armhole, just to be sure of how the tip of the sleeve is going to be, like around the armhole. So I have about 7.5 to 8 inches on the round armhole of the sleeve. I'm going to fold this into 2 like this, and I'll measure that 8 inches from the tip like this. Then I'm going to mark it out. So it's from that marking that I'm going to sew down to the edge of the sleeve. So you are going to sew it in an A-shaped manner, just to form that proper balloon sleeve. Then I'm going to do the same thing also for the other part of the sleeve. So this is what I have when I was done, and I'm just going to go ahead now and stitch this together with the main dress. So I'm just aligning the parts of the under armhole. Then I'm going to pin it all the way around like this, right sides facing each other. Then after I'm done, I'm going to head ahead to the sewing machine and just stitch it around. Then I will do the same thing to the other parts of the sleeve too. And once I'm done doing that, this is what I have. The dress is ready now, And the last thing you want to do is just to hem the end of the dress. I've also done that, and the dress is ready. So if you found this tutorial helpful so far, make sure that you give it a thumbs up, drop a comment, and don't also forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Until I see you in my next tutorial, bye.